Hello, welcome to A VO's Journey. My name is Anthony, and this show is about helping the new and upcoming voiceover artists grow their business, sidestep all the crazy things that this guy seems to step on. Got my coffee. It's not snowing, but that's okay. It is foggy. But either way, happy Tuesday, December 10th. It is wild. It's been a long day. It's been like a week since I've done a full video. And, I just got out of a live directed session, and I thought this would be a great time to talk about live directed sessions and, how to engage in them, okay? So first off, before we get started, make sure, as always, you check out the VO Journey Academy. We've got a link below. We'd love to have you. I think I have 1 or 2 slots still open left. I only have, I think it's like 1 left for the mentorship, the 6-month mentorship program. So if you're interested in that with me, there'll be a link below to check that out. I only take 10 at the beginning of the year and then 10 in the summer. So make sure that you check that out if you're interested. Like I said, if you hurry, we got about 1 slot left, I do. So check that out. All right, there'll be a link there below. So anyways, let's kind of dive into this live directed session. So basically, as voice actors, the majority of the work we do, right, is at home in our home studio. But occasionally we get the opportunity to work with a client or multiple clients, and they will join us on a Zoom call, or it could be a Google chat or whatever, and direct us. All right, or chat with us while we are doing the voiceover to give us feedback. So, and I absolutely love live directed sessions, because it allows you to work directly with the client. They can talk to you, give you feedback. You can do the voiceover, do it again, do takes, really have a good showing, because, you get to talk to them. Whereas most of us, we have to do voiceovers via chat, or messaging. So that's what a live directed session is, right? It is, people directing you live and you're doing your voiceover. Now, there's kind of 2 ways that you record. Either A, you record yourself on your DAW, and then when you're done with the session, you send that to them. Or B, you record onto their DAW or the engineer they're working with via a program like Source Connect, okay, or IP Diddle or IPDTL, or something where it's programs that you can link up to another computer somewhere else, and they can record you, and it's a very fast, secure network, so that you get really good recordings. So you can do either one. This isn't a talk today about that, although we can talk about Source Connect and all that stuff at another time. But today's more about your behavior in the session itself. Okay, so first off, remember, you were hired by them, so they want you. So, don't be nervous about whether you're going to sound good or not. They hired you, they already went through the process, and, they're paying you for a live directed session, so they want you. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, I often, especially with a lot of newer people who are going into live directed sessions for the first time, they're very nervous for a variety of reasons, and they don't know what to do when they're in the session, what to say. And, that can be challenging, and that can be nerve-wracking. You're going to have jitters the first time or 2 that you do it, because you're doing in front of someone who's paying you. You don't know them. They're really not there to coddle you, right? They're there to, direct you and get what they're looking for. But at the same time, they do want to be there with you. So, it's important to remember that, you didn't just fall onto their laps. They picked you. They chose you. They paid for you. So they clearly want you. So you're doing something right. Now, when you're in that session, all right, the likelihood is you're going to do multiple takes. You're going to record. They're going to chat with you, say, hey, we really like this. Hey, let's try this again. What do you think about this? So I want to impress upon you, when you're in a live directed session, a good thing to do is to stay active yourself in as part of the director's seat. Okay. Now, of course, as always, stay polite, Stay professional. Don't cut off the customer. Don't be rude. Okay. But at the same time, offer, your 2 cents. You're the performer. A lot of times they'll even ask you, what do you think? Right? And also remember, don't be afraid to clarify some, and I don't mean clarify in a rude way, but like here's a perfect example. I was doing a directed session and great clients, real good ones. We had them on different opposite corners of the world, different continents, but it was a great deal of fun, and there was just a bunch of different questions. One question you're going to get a lot from a customer, and don't freak out about it, is most of the time we do live directed sessions over Zoom. Okay, if it's not Source Connect or something. And when you're doing something over Zoom, inevitably, and depending on where they are in the world and what their connection is, your recording through Zoom is not going to sound very good. In some cases, you might sound like you're, on a radio. You know what I mean? Like an old radio ad. You might sound like this, right? I mean, because it's Zoom, and it's over different parts of the world, and you might get asked that question. I get asked that question often when I do live directed sessions. Hey, it doesn't sound, it sounds not very professional sounding, right? Meaning like it doesn't sound like this cool sound. You know what I mean? And you guys know, right? I have a very expensive microphone, great setup and everything. It's not my system, it's Zoom. So you have to, so don't be afraid to say, hey, no problem. That's just Zoom. The system's great. Everything's going to be wonderful. Don't worry about that. You know what I mean? But you're going to get that question. Don't freak out about it. That's normal. Another thing is that you might come into a situation where the client might have an idea, but they're not going to fully know until they hear you perform. So, you still need to come in with your performance and know your performance. Meaning that, first off, you want to read through the script once or twice. You should get it at least a few minutes before. Okay, and you should at least read through it a couple times. But I mean, know the differences. Okay, and this is where your acting training comes in when you're, whether you're a part of VO Journey Academy or another group or wherever, you need acting training so you can identify these things. But sometimes, like somebody's going to say, we want you to be more excited. Okay, well, how do you become more excited? Okay, well, there's modes of expression, right? We talked about this. Varying your speed, pitch variation, loudness, and then there's, of course, elongating, shortening words, pausing, etc. But a lot of times, speed and pitch variation and loudness tend to be excitement, to how do you drive excitement? Now, what if a client says to you, okay, well, you're doing these things, they say, the pace is too fast, but I still want you to be excited. Well, then you're going to have to lean heavier on pitch variation. Okay, or they might say, we still want excitement, but your pitch variation is too much. I'd like you to do less with that and do, a little speed it up a little bit more. It's, too kind of all over the place. So it's important, what I'm getting at, it's important for you to study these things. Now, do you have to be a super duper practitioner of understanding how to read between the lines with directions given to you? No, of course not. We all go into our first one, kind of like, right? That's normal. So don't freak out about that. But it's a good idea to understand these things about your performance so that you can say, hey, yeah, so what we can do is this and what we can do is that. I really liked this. Let's put it together. There's a disconnect here. This words don't work here. And again, you be careful about, when you're talking about the script, you don't want to go too far. But if you're asked, don't be afraid to give, your thoughts, because you think about it, you direct yourself the majority of the time. So, you're going to have an opinion about how it works, and you should. You should always have, as an actor, right, you should always have an opinion about, that's our lives. If you don't have an opinion, we're kind of just a blank slate, and our job is not to be a blank slate. When we perform, we've got to perform with some sort of personality or opinion, right? And that's how we drive successful I was going to use the word integration because just successful messages that connect, because we have whatever we're doing has a thought, has an opinion connected to it. We have to give it that. So when you're in a session, don't be afraid to participate in it. Don't just sit there and be quiet. Now, again, if they're very talkative and they know what they want and they're like that, do what you got to, do what you got to do. You can be quiet. Just sure, absolutely. Let's do another take. You don't have to be chatty Cathy. I'm not saying you need to but if they ask you questions, make sure to engage with them. Here's another thing. I love my phone on. I've been getting a lot of spam calls recently. A phone went off in the middle of session. I'm like, oh crap, hold on. Be yourself. It's okay. Now, what if you come across some unruly or some people that are not so nice? There are sessions. I remember doing a session where, and the people were actually the people were wonderful. They were not nice, meaning they were very nice. However, I was super embarrassed because I came upon a part. I was doing a commercial for the state of New York for all the wine vineyards association or whatever, and it was all the 9 different vineyards throughout New York state. And anyways, and it was embarrassing because I had to pronounce all these wines and grapes and locations. And I enjoy wine, but I'm not like a wine connoisseur, so I don't have a large depth of knowledge of wines or their names. So I'm in here trying to pronounce names of wines, and I'm like Pinot Degree. It was bad. It was so embarrassing because these people that hired me, they love my voice. And they did not expect that I, would have difficulty, because I usually don't have difficulty at all pronouncing much of anything. But there was wines that got me. And, they laugh for a little while. But after a while, when you, they're kind of like, God, would the guy just get it? Anyways, the commercial, I think it was, I'm trying to remember what it was. It was a overall tribute. It was an anniversary or something, and it was a big thing for all the Vineyard Wine Association or whatever in New York State. But it turned out very well, and it worked out fine. And funny enough, the client came back and hired me for another job for something else just about 2 months ago. So that was kind of funny because I think this was last year. But so clearly, even though I had trouble, I made a good impression, because remember, making a good impression is important here. Do you know what I mean? And it's not just through your performance. It's are you amicable to work with? You know what I mean? Or are you friendly? Do you sound like you enjoy what you're doing? These things matter. Okay, these things matter. So whenever you go in there, take a breath, and be yourself. Now, you might come across a situation where you go in there and you're recording, you find yourself out of breath again because you're nervous. That's okay. Tell people, hey, I'd like to go over it again. Can we try it again? I'd love to do it again. They'll be like, yeah, no problem. You know what I mean? And they'll let you know. And don't be afraid to say, hey, I want to do the ending again. Or, hey, what do you think? Let's try it this way. Don't be afraid to participate in the process. That's all I'm saying. But also don't beat yourself up if there's challenges that arise. There are always challenges that arise. And you might come across a client where you're not quite sure what they're saying, so work through it with them. That's the positive thing about doing live directed sessions. So in my humble opinion, I love live directed sessions more than anything because, one, they pay more. They always pay more, right? And two, it's so great to connect with clients, build relationships, and get a really good product. Some of the best, I think, voiceovers I've ever done have been live directed sessions because we get to work back and forth together, to really produce something that we're both very proud of, as opposed to, just, messages. There might be a time where you don't like, and they like what you've done, and you're like, okay. It's okay. They're the client, they might have a vision and stuff, and that's okay too. But the point is that you want to engage. Don't be afraid to answer questions. Okay. Remember, you're the professional. If you're nervous, and pretend. Seriously, we act for a living. Okay, so don't be afraid to pretend. But yeah, I'm very I wanted to share this with you today because I think I do get a lot of people who do go into live directed sessions and they're nervous and they don't know what to do and they don't know what they need to bring or what they, you don't need. Oh, one more thing, because it just that made me think about it. What you need to bring, a camera. You don't need to have a camera in your booth or wherever you are. And here's a little tip: if you are concerned with your space, right, meaning like the aesthetic value of your space. If you are in a hobo fort, you're in a closet with blankets, you don't have to have a camera. You can still connect to Zoom and have your camera off, and you can still hear. People don't need to see you. Now, if you can be seen, that's great too, but we don't need to. What we're trying to do is listen. We're listening, okay? Because excuse me, I'm not going to see you anyways. No one's going to see you. They're just going to hear your voice. So, you don't have to have your camera on. And hopefully that will eliminate some fears. Be like, oh, God, I don't want them to see my hobo fort. They're going to think I'm not professional, which you and I both know has nothing to do with the sound. Okay, that's just visual. All right, but you don't have to do that. You can put your camera, you know what I mean, and not have it on. So I hope these kind of tips have helped you, and don't be afraid of it. Be excited about it and seek it out, because live directed sessions. And I would say if client contacts you, and here's another little tip, and I'll let you go for that. If a client contacts you and they're confused about what to do, or you guys are having a hard time figuring out what they're looking for, get a live directed session. Seriously, it's so much better. You know what I mean? It works so much better, and you can talk through with the person what's going on, what you're doing, what they're thinking. It really makes a world of a difference, okay? Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure, again, if you haven't already, hit that like and subscribe button, and check out VO Journey, as always. And, again, the link below, if you are looking, if you're interested in the mentorship program, check that out. There's like I said, there's like one spot literally left. So check that out, because I put it out last week and they all filled up, but there's like one left. So I thought I'd put it out to the people who watch me that aren't a part of, the other groups at the moment, to see if you're interested. All right, guys, you have a good one. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.